From Detroit Lakes to Walker, 14 new community signs welcome visitors and mark what's known as the Lakes Country Scenic Byway. Let's see what's gone into taking this project from start to finish.
Lake Country Scenic Byway started in 1999, and there's 22 designated byways in Minnesota now. There has to be recreational qualities that need to be present, historic, cultural, scenic qualities that all go together to make your byway special and unique. And the whole purpose of a byway is to get off the road and experience and explore. Our byway, the Lake Country Scenic Byway, has anchor communities. It begins in Walker off to the east, goes all the way along 34 to Park Rapids, and then on to Detroit Lakes. And then from Park Rapids along 71 north to Itasca State Park is a spur, and that is the Lake Country Scenic Byway. It's 88 miles. The money for the byway grants and projects comes from the Federal Highway Administration. And once a year, you're allowed to apply for grants and different things. And one of the things we decided that we wanted to do was to put something up that was permanent in, and the idea of the community entrance signs that are made part of the byway would be both a confidence factor building for those that are touring the byway. It would allow our communities a sense of ownership of the byway, and it would also allow the communities to have something that a lot of them couldn't possibly afford. A lot of grassroots effort took place, and so the grant actually paid for the sign faces themselves, but through local funds, each community had to get their bases made with their money and make sure that they're maintained. There's an agreement on maintenance, and Kyle Packman who actually is a stone cutter, and so it's very telling that we have such a person in this area who has just a whole truckload of boulders dumped on the site, and he goes, has at it. And isn't that exciting to see that?
Katie came to me from the Park Rapids Chamber and approached me about doing the new signs, and that's basically where it took off from there. So we start with a footing. Some communities wanted a more prominent footing where they went cross grade. Others are just slab on grade. Basically, we just have to make sure that we have warm water, and the sand has to be thawed out. Once we get it inside the shelter, we just have to keep it above freezing until it cures out. So we have lots of time to work with it in this kind of temperature. So when I pick up a rock, I make sure that it fits the space that I'm looking for, and also it has to leave a good setup for the next rock that's going on top of it. So basically that's what it is, and then I try to keep movement of the eye flowing through the piece that I'm building, whether it's a fireplace or a sign base or anything else. The communities that we've been doing these in have been really helpful, and they've been very appreciative of our work, which makes everything worthwhile for us. Years down the road, I'll get more of a chance to appreciate it. You know, when it's done, we're basically tired of looking at the rocks that we've been looking at for days on end, and down the road we have a chance to look at it more as just what it is, and then we can appreciate it more.
Throughout the summer, we spent about 6 months working on designing and deciding on what type of signs to work with. I have done a couple other signs locally that we did sandblasted, so we went out and looked at those. And we decided to go with the urethane versus the real wood. Urethane will weather much longer, be a much longer lasting sign. Because the signs were 10 by 10, we ordered the sheets in, and the biggest I could get was 5 by 10. So basically what we had to do is laminate the two edges together and then reinforce them with green treat 2x6 to basically for mounting purposes. And then on the double face signs, we basically routed into the surface and laminated the 2x6s into the sign. On the sign, after I finished it, glued it together, laminated and everything, I put, primer and then a finished coat of paint on it. Then I basically have to cover the whole sign with a rubber product, and then I transfer the image that we're using, in this case, to design onto that using an overhead projector. Then it's all hand cut. And then I peel away everything on the surface that we want to sandblast. And then it's just a process of sandblasting approximately 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch deep across the whole surface that we're working on. And then when the other parts that we want it to have it look like wood, we use what we call a grain tool. We put that on the surface, sandblast, and it actually leaves grain to the surface, so it gives you a nice wood grain finish. And then after we get it totally sandblasted, then of course I have to peel all that rubber off that we've already put on. And then at that point I go through and just paint everything after that. On an average, it takes about 75 hours to do one sign. You know, they had came out with the Scenic Byway logo before we even did the design work. And, you know, that just ties into the lakes and the trees and stuff like that. So when they decided to incorporate that part, you know, that to me just was the only way to go.
What we want to do is help visitors and locals alike discover the treasures of the place that they call home, or that they're visiting. And there's plenty here to discover along our Lake Country Scenic Byway. It's wonderful.